Okay, so the visitor visa. What can you do if you've arrived at the airport, you've smelled the air, you can smell money, you think, right, this town is for you. What's permitted activity as a visitor? Can you actually incorporate a company? Can you take steps to recruit people? Can you enter into a commercial arrangement with Wind and all the rest of that as a visitor? Well, essentially, the visitor visa anticipates that you're going to come, engage in a genuine business visit, that is where you visit your customers, suppliers, your contacts and other parties, finish what you need to do and then leave without any expectation of thinking about residence here. If on the other hand you have secured a job offer and you've got an application in for an employment visa working for somebody else, you can arrive as a visitor prior to the grant of your employment visa, and you can engage in pre-relocation for business residence activities. So this is orienting yourself to Hong Kong. You can do things like get your mobile phone organized. You can enter into a tenancy agreement for somewhere to live. You can do all the things preparatory to the starting of your work, but not actually doing that work. If you come as a visitor, you can participate in trade fairs, you can speak at conferences, as long as you don't get paid for speaking at a conference. And at the trade fair, whilst you can show your wares and represent your company's interests, you can't effectively open a till and sell things across the counter at a trade fair. In the context of starting a business, effectively what you're left with is you can engage in activities preparatory to the commencement of your business, but if your intention to reside has crystallized, then you should be thinking about making an application for a business investment visa. And in a sense, in a hard delineating fashion to try and sort of put a line between what's permitted and what's not permitted, effectively, if you've established a company and you are trading, that is, you've issued your first invoice, then you've effectively joined in a business. And joining in a business isn't permitted activity as a visitor. But ultimately, it's delineated by the attitude of the Immigration Department to prosecute for breach of conditions of stay if they discover that you have engaged in activity not commensurate with your visitor visa status. This falls into what I've called the catch-22 for the vast majority of people who are here as visitors, that are clearly committed to a venture, that they've put money into a deal, they've put together all the infrastructure arrangements to support the business transactions that you're anticipating to run through your enterprise. This catch-22 situation I'll discuss, but it's driven by this notion that if you have an application for a business investment visa in the system and you're here as a visitor and you've effectively started trading, normally the Immigration Department don't penalise you. They forbear to prosecute for breach of conditions of stay. It's if you've engaged in business activity as a visitor and you haven't put an application into the system that the Immigration Department don't like that, because that's clearly a breach of your conditions of stay as a visitor. But I'll talk about that in some detail when we get to the relevant slide in the presentation.